Hi, welcome back to the Wisdom of Your Soul. I'm your host, Janice Mary. I'm so glad you're back, and I hope that you're doing well. These are very challenging times right now, so connecting to our soul is really very beneficial for all of us to do, and to try to really create that very peaceful inner state so that we can spread that out in the world and listen to that inner guidance that can help us deal with some of the issues that are being brought to light. Our inner guidance has a lot more patience for our evolving than we do. We really are evolving, and if for some of us it feels like it's too slow, but we are learning and doing better. So we have to just keep on trying to deal with all the issues that are being brought up, racism, inequality, and really try to deal with that head on, make changes, make political changes, make changes in our laws, make changes in our systems, so that they're equal, We all should be treated equally, and when we're not, it affects all of us, and that's what we're seeing right now. And being a therapist, I really do work with people to start with you. A lot of my clients are very upset about what's been going on in the world and wanting to do so much to help. And I always feel like the best way to help the greater good is to really work on your individual self. Because then what you bring out into the world is really going to impact it in a way that you're going to make changes. Just being angry and upset is not going to put you in a place for the ability to tap into what could really help. So the more relaxed we are, the more inner peace we have, the more insight we can draw upon, and the more wisdom that we can gain, and then we can make changes from that place. If we try to make changes from anger and upsetment and frustration and, just feeling depressed, that it's going to be a little harder to make the changes that you want to make in the world. So I'm always trying to comfort my clients that, listen, the best thing we all can do is to make our internal states so good that that's what we project outside. When we're having societal problems, it's almost like a mass projection of negativity. So we're all individually responsible for that, So the more we can go within, clean that all up, what we extend out is going to look very different and does feel really different. And that's really helpful, So a lot of people feel helpless. They want to do things and help things, and they don't know how to help. Creating a much better life for yourself internally is the best way that you can help the greater good, because then you see things differently, that your wisdom will point to things that are happening that are so good, and how people are trying to do better, and the ways that they're doing better in peaceful ways and really impactful ways. You'll be able to see those instead of weeding through all the negativity and all the hate and everything else that's going on. So again, we're always left to our own individual energies and our own individual lives to make greater change. It's so simple that it does start with us. If we wake up and we're listening to thoughts that are telling us that we're not good enough or we're no good, then if we go out into the world feeling that way and somebody does something to us, we're going to be very reactive. So it's really important for us to realize that any kind of evaluation of the self is, especially when it's a critical or harsh evaluation of the self, is just not accurate, and it's not something that we want to listen to. So whatever you might be hearing in your own mind about you, you want to really challenge it And that's anything. And even if you agree with it, if your mind is saying, you're eating too much, and you agree with that, you have to ask yourself, well, when my mind points out things that I don't like, and I agree with it, how does that make me feel? And what does that do to me? So we have the option really to decide to not agree with the mind ever when it comes to evaluating you or other people. We have that choice. And it is a choice that we really want to take. That is a choice we really want to take. So it's a really great thing to be able to kind of say no to your thoughts, to just say, no, I don't believe those thoughts anymore. And when they come in, I used to believe them, and now I don't. So that is very powerful. It sounds so simple, but it's so powerful to realize, how we're contributing to how we feel in any given day. And when you really get that understanding that when you don't have to live in your mind, when you can break free of that you can be just living in your being, and you can just be, and you're not caught up in the movie of your mind, whether it's the movie of the past or the movie of the future. You're not caught up in any movie anymore. For the longest period of time, I was caught up in a very negative movie of my life where I was just, anticipating the future in a very, very negative way. And most of the time, the movies that got played in my mind never came true, never. So living in those types of movies are just really horrifying and doesn't do anything for us. So we really have to, encourage ourselves to move out of the movies of the mind and to say, all right, I'm going to move out of these movies and get back into my life. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to, sit with my animals. I'm going to do something that is going to fill me up in a very positive way. I'm going to listen to a new book. I'm going to replace the thoughts that come in that try to take away my peace or try to take away the internal peace, because that's really how you can connect to the consciousness that lives within you. A lot of people say, well, I can't connect. I don't know how to connect. I can't get out of my head. I can't do it. And it's really very simple. If you just find yourself not thinking, you're more present. You're in your consciousness. And when you're in your consciousness, you are in your soul, or, you're always in your soul, but you don't feel it because you're just not paying attention to it. Anything that we give attention to, we bring to life. So if you're paying a lot of attention to the movies in your mind, you're bringing all that to life. And we are extremely powerful manifestors. So we can be bringing to life movies of our past, movies of our future. And, that has a big effect on us, and is very, very draining. So if you're out of that, if you decide, well, you know what, I don't want to continually live in these movies that aren't happening, then you get to choose. You get to do other things because you're not caught up in thinking and thinking and thinking. You get to choose to do other things. You have more energy. You feel more relaxed. You have more time. Paying attention to the movies of the mind is almost like watching Netflix all day. The only difference is when you watch Netflix, you're watching it with detachment, so you can handle watching those movies. It may affect you depending on what you're watching, but it doesn't affect you as much as the movies that you play in your mind, and how you interact with those movies is really the biggest thing. Because if you were playing movies in your mind that were very scary and you knew they weren't true, the interaction with them would be pretty minimal, and it wouldn't affect you so much. So a lot of my clients that suffer with a lot of anxiety are constantly in the movies in their mind. They're constantly what-ifing. What if this happens? What if that happens? what if this bad thing happens? That's Toast. Say hi, Toast. They're constantly in that, whether it's the movies of the future, of what can happen in the future, or whether it's the movies of the past, what has happened, what you don't like. And it's just not very productive or helpful for us, and we could be living much happier when we're not engaging in that. So, my clients that have anxiety, when I have anxiety, I know I've moved into the future or I've moved into the past, and I know how to get out of that, which is just to realize, is this happening now? You could just ask yourself, is this happening? Is this movie happening right now? And if the answer is no, to just gently encourage yourself to move out of it, to just say, okay, if this isn't happening right now, why am I giving this all of my attention? I'm better off watching a Netflix movie, or I'm better off going for a walk, or I'm better off doing other things. So, that can be, it's just a very helpful practice to ask yourself, if you find yourself being caught in your thoughts, is this happening right now? Do I need to believe this movie? Is there anything that I can do to help the situation that I'm watching unfold? Is there anything I can do right now? If there's nothing that I can do to address the situation of the movie in my mind, if there's nothing I can do, then let me encourage myself to move out of it so that I can go back into the other place that lives within you, that will intuitively just help you. So if you're having anxiety, if you're feeling overwhelmed, all you have to do is kind of get quiet and tune in and say, well, what am I thinking about? Where am I? What movie has my attention? And do I need to be watching this movie all day long? And if I can't get out of this movie, if this movie's running and I'm thinking of all my worst fears of what's going to happen, and I can't get out of it and it feels like I need to stay in it, then you have to realize it's the anxiety that's driving that movie, so that you're just anxious. And when you're anxious, sometimes it is hard to get out of your thoughts. So the best thing to do when that's happening, when you're really trying hard to get out of your thoughts and you're just not able to do that, it kind of has a hold on you, then you just have to realize that the anxiety is driving the bus of that movie. So if the anxiety is driving the bus of that movie, you just need to reduce the anxiety. And the best ways to reduce anxiety is distraction, is to go for a walk, is to do something with your body, to exercise it, so that that helps slow the anxiety down. It helps reduce the anxiety. Or watching something or reading something, doing anything that reduces your anxiety helps you get out of your thoughts. Meditating, is the best way if you can. Meditating really, really, truly, truly works. And when you meditate, you give your body a rest, because you're more in your soul, you're more in your spirit, your consciousness. So you're giving your body an actual rest. It's almost like you rise a little bit out of your body. As your body's sitting there meditating, you're just resting. You're in a resting phase, and that's very good for you, So even if it's a 5-10 minute meditation, it's really, really good. So if you are experiencing a lot of anxiety, just ask yourself, where am I? Where am I? Am I in the future? Am I in the past? Where am I? And can I help myself move out of that and go within? When you do that, it's really remarkable, and then when you realize you feel so much better, you will really encourage yourself to spend less time in your thoughts and less time getting caught up in your fears, and being able to just accept reality and being able to be in your day in a very calm way, and just being able to enjoy your day and you're able to be present. The movies really take away the ability to be present. You just can't be present when you're watching something in your mind. So we have so many scary movies. We have the scary movies on the news. We have scary movies on our shows. We have scary movies in our minds, and then we wonder why the mind is so negative. A lot of my clients will say, why is the mind so negative? Why does my mind always want to bring up something that scares me the most? Why does that happen? And we have to realize that it's out there so much. There's so much negativity that we're ingesting, that we're on overload. So we really do have to work with ourselves and not watch the news and not watch a lot of really scary movies and to practice being in our own lives again. Watching a lot of TV, isn't the worst thing in the world to do, but it is in a way, taking us away from living, so if we're watching other people's lives all the time on TV or Netflix or Amazon, we're not really in our own lives, so I try to limit it. There's certain shows that I love and I get obsessed with, and I try to have my day and then limit it for certain periods of time so that I'm still living my own life, and the more you live your own life and the more you sink into your own life, the less you even want to watch too much, on TV, and because you're really truly in your own life, and that's very satisfying. So if you are feeling anxious, that is really, it's the best way to go is to move out of the mind, move out of your thinking. If you're talking to yourself in a negative way, to replace talking to yourself with affirmations, or whatever it is that you're complaining about or afraid about, make it an affirmation. So if you're worried about getting sick, turn that around and just say, I am healthy and I continue to stay healthy, and manifest health. We're very powerful, and when we start talking to ourselves in a better way, we feel it, and then we feel better. So whatever you feel scared about, and right now it's our health or other things that are going on, just give yourself the thing that you think is going to be taken away from you. So if you feel like, I'm really scared I'm going to get this COVID, or I'm going to get sick, or something terrible is going to happen to me, then make that your affirmation, that I am protected and I am healthy and I'm well and I will stay that way. And keep saying that to yourself over and over. It's very relaxing and it's very soothing. And the more you say things that more resemble your consciousness and your soul, the quicker you will be able to sink into it. So it's almost like affirmations are very close to what it feels like in the soul energy. So you're getting very close to it, so that it just kind of sinks in a little bit easier. So that is a good tip to do if you're feeling very fearful over something. Not making enough money. See yourself making a lot of money. Money comes easily to me. It could be your affirmation. And that feels so much better than I can't make any money, or I don't have enough money. And it also brings you into the reality of your life. A lot of times we have as much as we need, and we think we need more when we're really okay. So again, coming out of the mind, which is insatiable. You can't have enough money. You can't be thin enough. You can't be perfect enough. That's what the mind, it's insatiable. It's never, ever, ever enough. So if we keep trying to appease the mind and keep letting that be our creator, then we're in trouble. When we go into the conscious energy and the soul energy, it says the opposite, complete opposite. It'll tell you you are enough. Those thoughts that are coming into your mind are not true, so don't believe them. Your soul energy will kind of question you and say, well, how would you feel without these thoughts? How would you be without all these thoughts and all these demands that you put on yourself? How would you feel if you could just be? How would you feel if you never had to worry about money? How would you feel if you never had to worry about your weight? How would you feel if you just knew you were fine right now, that you have everything that you need and everything is fine? How would you feel? And that's what being in that energy will help you to see, that you have everything that you need and that you're fine. where the ego is always saying you're not enough, you know. And some of my clients will say, well, if I didn't have my ego, I would be totally not motivated. And that's not true either, because when you're happy, you pick things to do. You feel so good that you want to be around people, you want to do things, you want to do hobbies, you have new energy to do things. So the ego is depleting and the soul is energizing. So it's the opposite of what we think, because that's just the ego's game to try to get you to keep listening to it, to keep listening to how you have to still perform. The ego is like a little bit of a drill sergeant. So you just can't pay attention to it. You have to just move out of it and say, you know what, I've been thinking these same thoughts forever. And when am I going to stop listening to them? And when I don't listen to them, I feel so much better. So it's like a gentle encouragement to come out of that so that you can feel this different part of you and you can explore it. You can explore it. I had read a really long time ago, Seth Speaks, and it's such an interesting book. This woman, Jane Roberts, and she channels this spirit that used to live here, and talks all about the soul and talks all about the afterlife, and such a fascinating book. And I had read this book probably about 10, 15 years ago. And it's so funny because when I read it the first time, I don't think I fully understood it. It took me a while to really get it. So reading it the second time is so interesting. And a lot of the things that he talks about are the things that I feel when I go into my inner energy. And it's what you can feel too. So it's a great book if you want to get like an overview of the soul and what the soul does, and what spirit does, and how it's all interconnected. It's so interesting. So he talks about, when you really move out of your mind, move out of the ego, you're going inward, and you're letting your inner life take over. So it's your inner hearing, your inner seeing. It's like this whole inner life that we don't know that well, our consciousness, just sitting in your consciousness and having your soul expand, is really, really cool. So I would highly suggest reading that book if you wanted to get a really good overview on the soul and try to understand things a little bit better. I would really recommend that. And you could even get it on tape, so you could just listen to it. Sometimes I just like listening to books better than reading, because then I can multitask. So you can think about that too. So I think that's about all I had planned for today to talk about. If you have any questions or any ideas or that you would like for me to talk about, feel free to email me at janissmart40@yahoo.com. I would love to hear your input. And keep really working on getting out of that ego mind. Keep on working that and just going into your consciousness and be an explorer. Be an explorer in your consciousness. It's such a amazing journey. And once you get a glimpse of it, you're not going to want to stop getting to know yourself in that way, in this deeper way, and much more satisfying way. And you'll be able to really live with a lot of more peace, and you'll be able to then extend that to everybody that you come in contact with. And when enough of us does that, we're going to see a big shift in our society. So we all have to really work individually to see that mass shift. So give that a shot and have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.